This diocesan year of vocations began with the retelling of one of the most significant stories of service in the history of the Armenian Church. That story, told in three-dimensional sculpted relief on the bronze entry portal of New York's St. Vartan Cathedral, centered on the baptism of King Dirtad by St. Gregory the Illuminator, a development that marked Armenia's conversion to Christianity in AD 301. The cathedral's new entry portal, more than 30 years in the planning, was unveiled on May 31st as hundreds gathered to celebrate its consecration. New York's Mayor Michael Bloomberg took part in the festive occasion, which also included a program of recognition for all those who made the project possible. Also last May, the diocese marked the 100th anniversary of the Istanbul-based Armenian-language newspaper Zamanag. A panel discussion was held on Armenians in the Ottoman Empire and present-day Turkey, as well as a celebratory luncheon honoring the newspaper's editor, Ara Kochunyan. At the annual ACYOA assembly over the Memorial Day weekend, young people gathered in Palisades, New York to discuss vocations and learn steps they could take to strengthen the ranks of the priesthood in the Armenian Church. During the sports weekend activities, athletic competitions were held, along with a film festival, Armenian dance workshops, and a series of presentations. In June, the diocese hosted a public forum with Ambassador Marie Jovanovic, the United States Ambassador to the Republic of Armenia. Ambassador Jovanovic spoke about U.S. goals in Armenia, discussed taxpayer-funded development programs, and asked the public to share its concerns on U.S.-Armenia relations. The summer months were marked by a successful camp season, with more than 500 campers, CITs, and staff taking part in the programs at St. Vartan Camp at the Ararat Center in upstate New York, and High Camp at Camp Hickory in Ingleside, Illinois. Summer conferences were also held at St. Nerses Seminary, and at the Diocesan Center, interns Gevorg Azizi and Talin Terjanyan spent 8 weeks learning about the daily operations of the diocese and gaining hands-on experience by assisting with various projects. Meanwhile, young people traveling to Armenia as part of the ACYOA Armenia Service Program spent a week teaching English and assisting camp staff at Camp Dzizernak in Vanadzor. In August, the diocese and the Fund for Armenian Relief organized a farewell reception in honor of Ambassador Armen Martirosyan, the permanent representative of the Republic of Armenia to the United Nations. After 6 years of service to the UN, Ambassador Martirosyan was named Armenia's new ambassador to Germany. His successor, Ambassador Garen Nazaryan, was welcomed later that month and has since become an active leader in New York's Armenian-American community, continuing the diocese's warm ties with Armenia's mission to the United Nations. September 1st marked the 20th anniversary of the passing of Archbishop Tiran Nersoyan of blessed memory, the former primate of the Eastern Diocese and the preeminent intellectual figure of the Church in his generation. To generations of the future, he bequeathed not only his voluminous writings, but also St. Vartan Cathedral, St. Nerses Seminary, and other major institutions of the Armenian Church in America. More than 70 participants representing 10 diocesan Armenian schools attended the annual symposium for Armenian teachers in September, where they discussed ties between the Armenian language and faith, and focused on ways they could help students identify these connections in the classroom. Other notable immersion programs included a trip to New Orleans, where young adults helped rebuild homes devastated by Hurricane Katrina. The trip was sponsored by the ACYOA and College Ministry as part of the National Ecumenical Work Week. In December, the diocese marked the publication of New Faith to New World, a revised edition of the late Dr. Hagop Nersoyan's classic work, A History of the Armenian Church. The new edition was completed under the leadership of Elise Andreasyan, coordinator of Christian education at the diocese, and underwritten by the Women's Guild. 2010 began with the announcement of 4 new clergy appointments. Reverend Father Paren Galastian, Father Hagop Gevorkian, Father Martiros Hakobian, and Father Hrac Sargsyan were appointed to serve parishes in Waukegan, Illinois, Cheltenham, Pennsylvania, Cleveland, Ohio, and St. Paul, Minnesota. St. Sahag and St. Mesrob Church of Wynwood, Pennsylvania, also welcomed the new pastor, the Reverend Father Oshagan Gurgulian. In January, the Fund for Armenian Relief marked its 20th anniversary. FAR Board Chair Randy Sapagulian served as the godfather for the Blessing of Water ceremony during Christmas services at St. Bartan Cathedral on January 6th. Later that month, FAR celebrated its anniversary and honored one of its founding members, Dr. Edgar Husepian, at a gala banquet in Manhattan. His Holiness Kadakin II presided as some 450 people gathered to recognize Dr. Husepian's contribution to medicine and his involvement in relief and medical efforts in Armenia. FAR and the diocese also honored Anush Matevosyan, a visionary benefactor who has helped build new schools and summer camps, renovated university labs and auditoriums, and funded educational scholarships in Armenia. During Lent, close to 100 ACYOA members gathered in Tarrytown, New York, for the 11th Annual Young Adult Leadership Conference. The two-day meeting gave participants an opportunity to hone their leadership skills and to network with ACYOA members from parishes throughout the diocese. On Easter Sunday, one of the largest crowds in recent years gathered at St. Bartan Cathedral. After the Divine Liturgy, the primate led a procession to the Cathedral Plaza, where the traditional Release of Doves ceremony was held, with Haraç Tufayan serving as the godfather.